HIV, cancer, TB, diabetes, among others, must adhere to their treatment to strengthen immunity and therefore should ensure they have a constant supply of necessary medicines. Contact your clinic or health facility for information on how to access treatment. Help others within your network to access adequate supply of essential medicines. Ensure that you remain connected with your local networks for any support and follow the medical guidelines provided by your health facility to prevent coronavirus. Remember to stay updated with information on coronavirus using only trusted reliable channels. For more information on COVID-19, call 719 or dial *719#. COVID-19 is preventable. Protect yourself, your family, and the community. This message has been brought to you by the Government of Kenya and its partners. Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Zeke the Free! This man is a legend with the ladies.
I can only imagine.
Oh, baby, you ain't got to imagine. We got this on video. I don't want to see that. Zeke the Free is back in town. I don't know that, dude.
I'm in the house. And it's still the #1 destination for couples to do the craziest thing of all. Get married.
Are you in the adjoining suite?
Once the door closes, you can barely hear a thing.
Fortunately, I arrived the only way a sane person should. I'm talking about solo, people.
Hey, that Lambo okay right there, right? It's my car.
Let's go.
This is your bachelor party. Next 24 hours, the boys will be with the boys.
And the girls with the girls.
In this battle of the sexes, I was determined to keep us ahead of the girls.
You're rolling with the pros.
Let's go!
Think like a man, too.
Happy 58th Madaraka Day. Well, good evening. This is Channel 1 News Hour. It is the first day of June 2021. Well, it's a day that Kenya commemorates attaining internal self-rule. And on that note, we kick off the bulletin with the highlights.
If the court had subjected its decision to stop BBI to a cost-benefit analysis, in other words, if it had considered the burden of choice, then there are questions the judiciary would have asked. If BBI were to be stopped, who carries the burden of choice? On whose shoulders will ethnic majoritarianism rest? And who will carry the burden of losing 30% of our national budget every 5 years due to the toxic politics that BBI sought to resolve?
Taking on judiciary, President Uhuru Kenyatta accuses the court of abusing the democratic space as he leads the nation to mark the 58th Madaraka Day celebrations in Kisumu. A bid day for the BBI contest. Court of Appeal to hold case management conference Wednesday to set ground rules for the appeal hearing. And positivity rate stands below 10% as 349 new coronavirus cases are confirmed from 4,208 samples tested in the last 24 hours. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Jacky Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter is Anna Wangeshi. Remember, this is an interactive segment where you can interact with us on our social media handle at KBC Channel 1 or at Jacky Wambiru. To kick us off, President Uhuru Kenyatta has hit out at the judiciary, saying it is abusing the democratic space granted by the Constitution in an apparent reference to the High Court ruling on the BBI bill and a number of his appointments to public office. President Uhuru Kenyatta charged at the judiciary that has saying it has failed to shoulder what he called the burden of choices in some of its far-reaching decisions. The president maintaining that the country can only move forward if the proposals in the BBI bill are made a reality.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has taken a swipe at the judiciary over the recent rulings which seem to have injured the executive. Speaking at the 58th Madaraka Day celebrations in Kisumu under the theme of freedoms and responsibilities and the consequences of choice, the president accused the judiciary of relying on technicalities and ignoring the public good in making their rulings.
Can Kenya truly be a democracy if the people are denied the opportunity to express their sovereign and supreme choice at the ballot box on the basis of elevating technicalities over the overriding objectives of the law?
The president accused the judiciary of making rigid decisions and leaving Kenyans to shoulder the burden of the decisions they had made.
If the court had subjected its decision to stop BBI to a cost-benefit analysis, in other words, if it had considered the burden of choice, then there are questions the judiciary would have asked. If we indeed were at a constitutional moment, is a decision against BBI a decision in support of the status quo? If BBI were to be stopped, who carries the burden of choice? On whose shoulders will ethnic majoritarianism rest? And who will carry the burden of losing 30% of our national budget every 5 years due to the toxic politics that BBI sought to resolve?
The president also not being kind to those opposed to the referendum, accusing them of being short-termists at the expense of the country's good.
Everyone knows that the BBI is good. It's good for our country. It is even good for those people who are unhappy with it. But too many Kenyans have embraced fear of change over the need to continuously strive for a more fair, just, peaceful, cohesive, and democratic Kenya.
But his Deputy William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga were reading from different scripts on the intended constitutional changes.
A robust legislature, a performing executive, an independent judiciary, and other independent institutions, so that we can all celebrate the firm foundation of the rule of law, not the rule of man.
At the same time, President Uhuru Kenyatta made a case for his development record, claiming his administration had improved the lives of Kenyans through various economic acceleration activities.
In the last 8 years, my administration has doubled what the colonizers and the first 3 administrations did in 128 years. Our national cake, our annual worth as a country every year, now stands at Kenya shillings 10.3 trillion. And even if you factor in inflation, our economic acceleration program has multiplied what the founding fathers left in our custody.
The president making a case for his investment in macroeconomics, saying they offer a fertile ground for economic takeoff.
We have revived 566 kilometers of dead meter gauge railway. The revived 200-kilometer Nairobi-Nyanyuki railway will be a game changer. Every trip, the train will transport 1,600 passengers which is equivalent to a convoy of 120 matatus. And the cost per passenger will be Kenya shillings 200 compared to current Kenya shillings 500 by matatu.
On the restoration of human dignity, the president avers that the construction of various hospitals, specialized care units and the enhancement of the NHIF program were making healthcare accessible and affordable.
The dignity of families is supported by sustainable livelihoods, and it is for this reason that my administration's agenda continues to focus on creating an enabling environment that offers every Kenyan an opportunity to participate in the economy.
This celebration capping the president's 3 days visit of the Nyanza region, which kicked off Sunday.
Kisumu residents savoured the opportunity to witness the first National Day celebrations in the county as the president continued with his promise of rotational National Day celebrations. Despite the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic in the country, locals turned up in large numbers to celebrate this year's Madaraka Day celebrations. Achela Simon has some of the samples of the reactions from the locals and leaders who graced the occasion.
The COVID-19 pandemic could not dampen the ecstatic spirit of Kisumu residents as they turned up in large numbers to celebrate the Madaraka Day celebrations hosted in the Lakeside County.
We have managed to be here when we were selected by our locational chief to give us the opportunity to join the team that was coming here to celebrate the Madaraka Day in Kisumu. We traveled well, and when we reached this place, the search was very tense, and we were seriously searched, and we were found to be okay, and here we are, we have entered.
Kuna vile machifu wetu walikuwa wanachagua watu, kila village walikuwa wanachukua watu watatu, ndio tukaambiwa kila village watu watatu, so we make sub-location, alafu tuna make sub-county.
The event was meant to be a 3,000 invite only with strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols, but the newly built stadium was packed to capacity for the momentous event. The locals stressing the choice of Kisumu to host the event to handshake.
I'm pleased to have such an occasion. Hosting a president, especially for an occasion of this nature, is itself a blessing, because most of these things normally used to happen in Nairobi, but now they've been brought back to the rural place so that everybody else can have that opportunity of also participating.
Local leaders hailing President Uhuru Kenyatta's stand on handshake and the BBI.
It normally happens immediately after the elections, and that was the mother of the BBI. That is why we started fighting for amendments in our own constitution. To us, because immediately after elections, we lose. And he enumerated it very well since 2017 up to now. The gains and the losses that we have been making after each and every election. So I think it was a good speech.
It was about the unity, prosperity of the country, the future of the country, everything we need in this country.
The president is excellent, encouraging, appreciative, and looking forward for working together with Raila Amolo Odinga even in the future.
Celebrated in difficult times, but no doubt this is one National Day celebration that Kisumu residents will forever remember. Achola Simon reporting for Channel 1 News from Kisumu County.
Still on the day's celebration, it was Kisumu's turn, and the Lakeside County did not disappoint. Everything went down well as Kisumu put her best foot forward in hosting the 58th Madaraka Day celebrations. Beatrice Getonyeng-Etich with snippets of the day's entertainment galore.
Anakuja kwa maridadi kabisa, taratibu, akikunja miguu yake kama mwewe. like the smooth landing of the Grand Master.
Makofi anapotua mahali hapa afisa mteule daraja la pili Joseph Munai. Bango lililo na ujumbe ama maudhui ya sherehe hii pamoja tusonge mbele linateremshwa kwa maridadi kabisa na Warrant Officer 2 Obadia Midhibe. Anatua kwa maridadi akitumia moshi kuashiria kwamba kila kitu ni shwari kabisa.
Everything panned out smoothly. The air in Kisumu literally saw it all.
Wapigieni makofi. Hawa ni vijana wetu hapa nyumbani, hakuna mgeni hata mmoja.
Had it all.
Jambo la kufurahisha ni kwamba marubani wa ndege hii ni akina dada.
And the invite-only guests experienced it all. Kisumu's moment of fame. Kisumu putting her best foot forward. Visiting Burundi took the cue to balance it all. Indeed, a day of its kind. In the lakeside of Kisumu. Everything going down well as Kenya marks the 58th Madaraka Day from the county of Kisumu. Beatrice Gatonyangetich, Channel 1 News.
President Uhuru Kenyatta displayed the spirit of the handshake during the Madaraka Day celebrations in Kisumu County on Tuesday. President Kenyatta breaking protocol to invite opposition leader Raila Odinga, who had been left out of the program, to address the gathering.
The 58th Madaraka Day celebrations held in Kisumu today will go down history as one of the few national events that saw the head of state breach protocol and go off the official program. According to the program, Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, whose county was hosting the national celebrations, was expected to make his welcoming remarks, then invite Deputy President William Ruto, who after a short speech invited the President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Your Excellency, it is now my very humble duty to request His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, the Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, to make his statement and continue the program from there.
But unexpectedly, instead of making his official Madaraka Day speech, President Uhuru Kenyatta opted to change the program and personally invited ODM leader Raila Odinga, his partner. And later invited South Africa Water Minister Lindiwe Sisulu and Burundian President Evariste Ndayishimiye, who was invited as the chief guest at the Lakeside event, to make their remarks.
It gives me great pleasure today to make these remarks on Kenya's 50th day on which it virtually took power after being a colonial British Empire since 1920. On behalf of the South African government and the South African people, we would like to give our best wishes to the Kenyan leadership and the people on this important day.
Tuna furaha ya kuungana nanyi kwa hii siku kuu, siku ya furaha. Waafrika wote wanakumbuka, wanajua mateso tuliteswa na wakoloni. Ndio sababu kama tuko pamoja na sisi tunafurahia siku hii.
Traditionally, the Deputy President is expected to invite the President to address the nation, and the event comes to an end. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Aching Ouma.
Now let's cross over from Kisumu County. Nairobi City witnessed less activities during the Tuesday's Madaraka Day compared to the usual pomp and color that punctuates the day when the celebrations are held in the Kenya's capital. Now, on such a day, when Kenyans would make their way to Nyayo National Stadium, today the situation was different as city residents went ahead with their normal business, with a few opting to celebrate the 58th Madaraka Day. Gladys Mungai has more details.
As Madaraka Day was marked in Kisumu County following the President's directive that national holidays would revolve around counties. Nairobi, a county that enjoyed the privilege of hosting historic events, marked less activities in a day that a majority of Kenyans would troop to Nyayo Stadium to witness the events of the day. As Kisumu residents enjoyed a previously rare opportunity to host the event, Nairobians opted to go on with their daily activities, while others followed Kisumu unfolding events from their homes. A few, however, opted to visit recreational areas to mark a day they claimed offered the nation a moment to reflect on the milestones made since independence.
Because there are so many things happening in the country, the way life is, how I view Madaraka, a day of freedom. From a personal point of view, I can say that life, the way it is, it hasn't been really fair for us. Like the goals that our forefathers had, I don't really see them. But will I just live complaining how hard life is, how I can't feel the Madaraka? So from a personal point of view, I have to be free by myself. Like I have to do things my way.
Tumekuwa tukiadhimisha siku hii ya Madaraka hapa Nairobi, lakini kwa sababu ya ugatuzi na shukuru ugatuzi huu kwa sababu kila kaunti sasa inapata na hiyo fursa ya kuweza kuadhimisha shughuli hii ya kitaifa ambayo ni muhimu, Madaraka.
Arts, acrobats and entertainment services offered in the capital, offering the much needed relief to those who opted to take a break from work.
For once over a long time, I've been able to celebrate Madaraka here at Uhuru Gardens. What I love to, it's just an observation that I've been noticing over the years of how Madaraka is changing time and time again, and we are in a shift in such a way that, be it socially, technologically, and at all angles, Madaraka is kind of shifting as well. So
na nimekuja hapa hivi Rupa kadi niweze kuburudisha, yani ikuwe tu ni kama tu ni Madaraka Day, yani Madaraka na art yangu, yani nimeshikanisha art na Madaraka.
In Murang'a County, residents expressed divergent opinions over President Uhuru Kenyatta's Madaraka Day speech.
The president is doing a noble job. He's reconciling the country. He's bringing people together. And all that I know is that finally, with all the efforts that he's making, we are getting somewhere.
Also hoping that the country will be able to settle after this stalemate has been done. But also he was not very clear and categorical about what needs to be done.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Despite the reopening of selected recreational facilities and public beaches across Mombasa County, a low turnout was witnessed as the locals marked the day elsewhere. Oblivious of the rising positive cases of COVID-19, the few who visited the recreational centers chose to make merry, disregarding the laid-down health protocols.
Tuesday afternoon along the beach road in Mombasa's Nyali area. Locals trekked to the Nyali beach to make merry as they join the rest of Kenyans in marking Madaraka Day. Unlike the previous holidays, the beach remained open to the public, a moment of relief for the locals who had been confined to a life of solitude owing to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Basi nilikuwa nimebweka kwa nyumba sana. Wakati kama huu wa likizo ni siku njema sana ya kuja kujiburudisha kwenye beach.
Nashukuru Mungu, sasa tunapata fursa kujivinjari pembeni mwa bahari.
Kufunguliwa leo imekuwa tu sawa. Hatujaona vitu vibaya.
Many not showing any adherence to health protocols in place.
Kulingana na zile njia za kujikinga na corona, naona hazijazingatiwa vile. Kwa hiyo kama kusambaa itasambaa.
Siogopi corona, ukimwamini Mungu haya basi yote yatakuwa sawa.
Ni ugonjwa unatushazoea, sasa siku hizi tu ni kujikinga na kuvaa barakoa.
Miles away at the Mamba Village Recreation Park, a low turnout was recorded despite it being the only park open today.
Nashukuru Mungu kumefunguka. Tumekuja, tumeleta watoto ili waweze kufurahia siku ya leo, sherehe ya siku ya leo.
Tumemleta mtoto hapa kidogo na yeye aje kufurahika na wenzake, na bembea pia kidogo zina afadhali na ziko cheap.
According to the manager, Peter Masharia, the reopening was meant to help the traders recover losses they incurred for the past 2 years.
Na naona hata itachukua muda mrefu sana ili tuweze kurecover, maana kama hivi ndivyo kulivyo, kurecover itakuwa ngumu, itachukua miezi mingi. Maana siku kama ya leo hapa ungekuta watu wamefurika kufurika, lakini sababu ya janga hili labda watu wameogopa hawakukuja, na siku kama ya leo ndio huwa tunatarajia biashara yetu iwe nzuri.
A little ocean air wouldn't do anyone any harm, or would it, so long as one is observing the health protocols in place. Juni Karisa from Mombasa County. Still on the same, after attaining internal self-rule in 1963, Kenya set out to eliminate ignorance, poverty and disease as espoused by founding father Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And as Kenya marks the Madaraka Day 58 years later, new priorities for each consecutive administration have emerged. But the management of healthcare remains one of the biggest challenges to independent Kenya. John Jacob Curry takes us through the country's journey from 1963 to date.
In 1895, Kenya fell under the control of the Imperial British East Africa Company and was part of a British East Africa Protectorate until it became a British Crown colony in 1920. The Mau Mau Rebellion in 1952 would result in the first direct election in 1957, with Mzee Jomo Kenyatta forming the first government. On June 1st, 1963, Kenya became a self-governing country when Kenyatta became the first Prime Minister. On assumption to power, Kenyatta set the agenda of his government as one that would be shaped by the fight against ignorance, poverty and disease. But there was the hard task of establishing the building blocks of a young nation, yet to recover from the economic impact of colonialism, and also the fact that Kenya was yet to fully free herself from Britain, as it was yet to be declared a republic.
What we have been struggling for is to redeem our country from the yoke of colonialism and imperialism.
The expectations from Kenyans over its young and free country were high. Though Kenyatta had set the pace for the country as it set to beat the three vices, by the time of his death in 1978, Kenyatta was yet to satisfactorily achieve the targets.
Aided schools will be equipped with an additional class. Mimi, Daniel Doroitich Arab Moi, naapa kwamba nitakuwa mwaminifu kwa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
His successor, President Daniel Arap Moi, on taking the reins of power, promised to further the legacy of Mzee Kenyatta with his famous line, Fuata Nyayo. But to it, Moi would also urge to his targets for the nation the philosophy of love, peace and unity. During the better part of his tenure, Moi solidified the one-party rule as Independence Party KANU was the only party. But Moi also invested heavily in the education sector, leading to the construction of schools across the country and boosted enrollment of learners. Kenya's literacy levels as of 2018 was at 81.54% according to a UNESCO report, something that is credited to President Moi.
Kijana akiingia katika university na hajui hata kutengeneza sanduku, hajui jina la spana, hajui jina la screw, saa ngapi atajifunza mambo ya juu ya university? Hali ya kujua yale ya madogo, nafasi yake itachukua kujifunza jina la square, juu ya saw, juu ya yote. Ndio utapata engineer nusu-nusu.
But it was also during Moi era that corruption permeated government ranks, with the country running into trouble with foreign donors. Top on President Mwai Kibaki's agenda on assumption to power in 2002 and the following year's Madaraka Day was war on corruption. Enthusiastic Kenyans embraced the zero tolerance to corruption philosophy by President Kibaki. With runaway corruption, the economy was also performing poorly as inflation affected prices of basic commodities. President Kibaki said the promise was to steady the ship, and it is during his first term that the economy grew by double digits.
Jenga na kufungua airport kubwa sana hapa na iko tayari, lakini lazima ibebe mizigo na bidhaa ambazo tatupatia faida.
And while access to education continued to be improved through the expansion of secondary schools and tertiary institutions, access to affordable health care continued to pose serious challenges. Corruption kept rearing its ugly head in President Kibaki's administration, leading to key forced resignations from his cabinet. In April 2013, President Uhuru Kenyatta, the son of founding father Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, took over the reins of power with a near similar vision to his predecessor. The improvement of access to education, healthcare, the furtherance of economic growth, and the end to corruption, as well as embracing Pan-Africanism. President Kenyatta has in more than one occasion admitted that high-end corruption has permeated his administration, including his office.
Let's be focused. Let's know where we want to go. Let's stop the rhetoric and let's see the action. And when the action happens, let's not start saying people are being picked on. But it will be done, and I promise you it will be painful.
But his administration has majored in macroeconomics, including the construction of a standard gauge railway, expansion of a port and the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, as well as the tarmacking of roads.
Nataka nikuambie hii reli sio ya Uhuru. Hii reli sio ya Ruto. Hii reli sio ya serikali. Hii reli imejengwa na pesa ya Wakenya milioni 45.
And while his administration has made major leaps in improving access to healthcare through NHIF, there are gaps that continue to threaten his agenda of affordable healthcare that include financing and human resource. But corruption, which has afflicted the last 4 administrations, continues to be the biggest threat to Kenya's dream to prosperity.
And after that, a detailed retrospection. We take a short break. Don't go too far. We'll be right back.
Did you know that the policy document is evidence of the existence of an insurance contract between you and your insurance company? It is important to know the terms and conditions of your insurance policy. Make sure you obtain, read, and understand the terms and conditions of the policy document. Now you know. IRA, promoting insurance, protecting the insured.
Je, umeomoka? Kama hujaomoka kwenye QuickBid ndio mambo yote. Hapa tuko na fridge, kodi yake ni CM. Tuko na gas cooker, kodi yake ni CK. Tuko na TV, kodi yake ni TV. Tuko na simu, aina ya Samsung ni SM, ama Oppo ni Oppo. My friend, mahali popote unanitizama, eka hizo kodi zake kisha utume kwa 4032353. 4032353, alafu utakuwa unaomoka na hizi bidhaa. Kumbuka, kwenye Quickbit ni bidhaa bora zaidi kwa bei ya chini kwa chini.
On the next episode of Little Daddy.
Never shot yet.
They're not back. Oh.
Mrs. Lee!
What? My mother passed out? Which hospital?
I won't allow you to sell the car.
Go upstairs!
I won't allow you to sell the car!
I checked with the publishing house. Chimu Yuan died a few years ago. You are an imposter. Didn't only lie about your feelings for her, you also stole her money. Tell you what, if you don't return her money...
Next on...
If your daughter won't cooperate, then you're being useless. So you do what you have to do, but I want her to have enough nutrition and to get stronger. Is that clear?
If you had told me that you already had a partner, everything about us would have been completely different, Dad.
Believe me, I had tried. Honestly.
Look, Uncle, the sad thing is, well, your son is a criminal and he must pay for what he did. I couldn't believe he came to rob us. You know what I mean. He took advantage of our trust in you, so he deserves it.
I'm going to see a lawyer, Maya. After that terrible thing that you did,
You have said
I'm going
enough.
to sue for custody. And I won't give her to you ever again. And you're not sending her to America. You hear me?
Welcome back. Now, the Court of Appeal has directed all parties involved in the Building Bridges Initiative contest to avail themselves at the Supreme Court on Wednesday morning for a case management conference. The court says the conference will be held physically beginning 9 a.m. to provide an opportunity to give appropriate directions, which include length of submissions to be filed.
The Registrar of the Court of Appeal has notified all parties involved in the Building Bridges contest to avail themselves physically for a case management conference at Court Number 3 before a 3-judge bench on Wednesday morning. The conference is scheduled to provide an opportunity for the court to give appropriate directions on issues such as the viability of hearing the substantive appeals rather than the Rule 52B applications, which allows the suspension of judgment made by the High Court to allow the process continue pending the hearing of the main appeal. The amount of time required for parties to prepare and exchange submissions, logistical issues relating to the hearing of the application or appeals. The court further directs that only one advocate for each party shall be allowed in the court due to adherence to COVID-19 measures. This is in reference to a judgment issued on the 13th of May by a 5-judge bench of the High Court declaring the BBI process unconstitutional. Among those who filed the appeals challenging the judgment include President Uhuru Kenyatta, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and the Office of the Attorney General and the BBI Secretariat. For Channel 1 News, I'm Serafina Robi.
In other news, 349 more people have tested positive for COVID-19 out of 4,208 samples tested. These new figures are representative of an 8.3% positivity rate. The county of Nairobi leading with a number of new infections at 80, followed by Kisumu with 67 cases, Siaya 37, Mombasa 35, while Kilifi had 19 new infections. Over the same period, 16 more deaths were registered, all having occurred in the months of April and May. The total of COVID-19 related fatalities now stand at 3,188. Police have retrieved two bodies of two young pilots who died after an aircraft they were in hit a tree and crashed at Wambiru Hills near Mwangeka Caves in Wundanyi sub-county tied to Taveta County. The two, a woman and a man, were flying from Nairobi to Mwatate. More of these in our county news roundup with you so far.
The bodies were brought to Ikanga airstrip in Voi early today and flown to Mombasa and Nairobi respectively. According to the police, the young man was a senior medical officer in Makueni County and was being trained as a pilot, while the woman was a flying instructor from Flight Training Center in Mombasa. A member of the late Dr. Lugogo Athman Kisuku's family told the media that the two were flying to Salt Lake Hotel in Motete at the time of the accident. Police preliminary investigation showed that the plane hit a tree and then went to crash at Mokenga Caves near Wambiru Hills.
Bawa moja iligonga mawe ya ile mlima ndipo kaanguka, na ilipoanguka sile mabawa siligusa miti ilikuwa karibu na kule vile sababu ni baridi. Kuna miti ambayo ni mrefu. Miti moja pia ikakucha ikaanguka na ikaangukia bawa la ndege na ikaicrash. Na pale pia tukakuta kuna miri ya watu wawili ambaye moja ni aledi na mwingine ni mwanaume.
A meeting by a section of United Democratic Party in Meru was disrupted by police officers for the claimed lack of a permit. Led by the party Secretary General Veronica Mine, the leaders faulted the move, claiming they had observed all the COVID-19 protocols and termed the move by the authorities as unfair.
In this day and time, the police force has no opportunity or capacity to interfere with meetings of this nature. I think in this century, it is very backward, it's uncivil for the police to raid a peaceful meeting while we were fully compliant with the COVID restrictions.
Elsewhere, the Kenya Livestock Marketing Council is urging members of the pastoral communities to peacefully coexist and stop pasture conflict in the regions that have been hard hit by the current drought. Council Chair Dupat Army say that it is time herding communities hold peaceful negotiations and agreements on grazing and border areas to avoid further conflicts.
We want the government to be on alert and make sure that people don't kill one another. We are not wild animals. We are human beings. We have a feeling. Why do we kill one another? I am appealing to the pastoral community to come to their senses, come together. We sort out our problem ourselves as grown-up adults.
And residents of Makuyuin and Athi villages in Jacky County have taken it upon themselves to rehabilitate a 5-kilometer road which they accuse the government of neglecting for decades. The residents say the major stretch that links up the villages with Juja Farm and Thika Superhighway have been a nightmare for locals for years.
Tumejitolea sisi kama wanakijiji tukuja tujijengee barabara. Maanake tumechoka kupatiana malalamishi yetu. Tujengewe barabara kukinyesha ni taabu. Pikipiki zinatugongesha tukienda kuzaa watoto. Tuko na mashida mingi na taabu mingi sana.
In the meantime, local investors have been urged to take advantage of Kenya's improved trade relations with our regional neighbors and tap into huge underexploited opportunities in the hospitality and tourism industry.
Rais wa Burundi akiongea na amesema ya kwamba kule kuna chances nyingi sana za biashara. Kwa hivyo watu wetu, tafadhalini mujipange, tukimbie kule Burundi, alafu tuanzishe biashara kule ili mahali tulete hapa nchi yetu Kenya.
This even as the country's annual milk production is expected to rise by over 25% as Kenya's Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization moves in to train dairy farmers. According to the organization's chair, Eliud Kirager, the organization and World Bank have partnered under the Kenya Climate Smart Agricultural Projects to train the farmers on the dairy farming value chain.
In Gishu, we are a dairy county, and we have over 300,000 animals, dairy cows. The county has 46 new coolers which have been constructed, and we need these coolers to be full to capacity. So this training is essential for our farmers because we need them to increase the money in their pockets. It's all about commercialization of the dairy enterprise.
Yes. Finally, Ken harvesters from Zoya Belt are up in arms accusing Zoya Sugar Company for delaying their payment. The harvesters say their dues have accrued to millions of shillings dating to back in 2019.
Tangu 2019 tulifanya kazi ya kupalilia miwa na kupanda, lakini hatujalipwa. Sasa saa hizi vile tumekata miwa mwezi mzima na wiki moja, hatujawahi pata malipo yote. Sasa tumekuja hapa kuhakikisha kwamba kupigania haki yetu. Sisi kama wakataji miwa tumeumia sana, watoto wako shuleni, wako nyumbani na wamewafukuza. Sisi hatuna mahindi, yametoa fulawa na sisi hatujaweka mbolea.
Meru town is marking 110 years since its establishment of Meru town. Now, the town was declared a township on 13th May 1911 by the first Colonial District Commissioner Edward Butler Hon. Now, the town has immensely developed over the years, with residents saying more needs to be done to raise its current status.
Meru town, which is the current Meru County headquarters, came into being 110 years ago. Locals nicknamed the town Mutindwa wa Kagange, which literally means a place to stay waiting for Kagange. Kagange was a nickname to the first Colonial District Commissioner in the town, Edward Butler Hon.
Ilianza na huyo mzungu moja, alikuwa anaitwa Mr. Horns. And when he started, he was a surveyor na mtu ambaye alikuwa visionary sana. Akaplani mji wa Meru na ndio pia alianza hii mji kama town. He declared a township.
According to officer in charge of Meru Museum, Peter Kilema, records show that the famous DC, Kagange Edward Butler, was the first person to construct a concrete house in the town, which was also his office.
He moved back to Meru and built this house in 1917. This house was just a stone building plastered with mud.
He was known as a person who used a horse to traverse through Meru, Tharakanithi, and Isiolo areas, which he used to govern. For this, residents would spend the whole day waiting for the Kagange, or the wandering administrator who doubles as a judge without avail. Next to Meru Museum is the Meru Police Station, where the old building still stands. The building was also used as a courtroom.
And in 1968, he built the cell called Nchere Kaburi. And also that house now was the cell and the store. And this building also housed the DC's office, the DC's office.
Little is known on when the DC left the town and where he disappeared to. Over the years, Meru town has immensely developed. More schools have been built, modern markets and healthcare facilities.
Kiangalia soko hiyo inaundumia kaunti kama soko hii kubwa sana ya Gakoromone. Hii inaundumia kaunti jirani kama Samburu, wanakuja hapa wanakujia chakula. Kaunti ya Isiolo wanakujia, kaunti ya Laikipia wanakuja hapa, Tharakanithi, hata Ukambani hapa. Wote unaona siku ile yetu ya soko, chakula yote inapitia hapa na tunapeleka.
Na ukienda mpaka market yetu ile ndoka Koromone, utashangaa. Wakati moja ilikuwa imejaa matope. Wakina mama na wale ambao wachuuzi hawangalipata nafasi ya kufanya nini, ya kuekeza na kuweza kujimudu kimaisha. Sasa siku ya leo katika vitongoji mbalimbali vya mji wetu vimefanywa ukarabati na tumeweka kabro, na ukienda unakuta kwamba watu wanaweza kufanya biashara zao wakiwa wanafurahi.
But all is not rosy for some residents 110 years on. Majengo slums residents say they are yet to access water despite the fact that River Kathita passes just next to their homes.
Sisi hakuna kitu ya kujivunia. Sisi kwetu ni kulia mashida. Hatuna pali, hatuna maji, Hata gavana wetu alikuja wakati wa campaign, tukamtembeza huko akakanyaga matope, lakini kutoka alishinda, hajairudi huku kwetu tena. Wanasemaga wanafanya barabara, kutoka sasa barabara hajafanywa. Hatuna mfereji kupeleka matakataka.
Area ya municipality ya Meru inatakana iwe imepiga hatua ya kimaendeleo kabisa, hasa kwa ile vijiji ama vijiji vile ambavyo kwamba ni majirani wa municipality. Lazima serikali ya county ije na mikakati ambayo kwamba itafanya wananchi wasikie wale wanajivunia uhuru wao.
Tunaomba kama serikali yetu itusaidie tupate kuinuka kama wale wengine.
Meru municipality now covers the area around Kiirwa, along Meru Nanyuki Road, Ngonyi along Meru Embu Road, Thuura along Meru Mukinduri Road, Mpuri along Meru Kithaku Road, and Kiathe along Meru Maua Road.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Zeke the Free! This man is a legend with the ladies.
I can only imagine.
Oh, baby, you ain't got to imagine. We got this on video. I don't want to see that. Zeke the Free is back in town.
I know that, too. I'm in the house. And it's still the #1 destination for couples to do the craziest thing of all. Get married.
Mom! Are you in the adjoining suite?
Once the door closes, you can barely hear a thing. Fortunately, I arrived the only way a sane person should. I'm talking about solo, people. Hey, that Lambo okay right there, right? It's my car. Let's go. This is your bachelor party. Next 24 hours, the boys will be with the boys.
And the girls with the girls.
In this battle of the sexes, I was determined to keep us ahead of the girls. You're rolling with the pros.
Let's go.
Think like a man, too.
Sasa, hii ng'ombe ni yako.
Asante. Hii ng'ombe itatoa maziwa mengi kabisa. Sasa shida ya school fees imeisha. Jen, chukua hii. Hebu nikuulize, hii maneno nasikia ya bima ya elimu inaweza kuwa namna gani mtu anachukua? Process ya kuchukua insurance cover yote ni rahisi. Hata niko na cover ya gari yangu.
Kwanza unajaza proposal form kama hii na uijaze wewe mwenyewe, na kama haujui kusoma uijaze na mtu unayemwamini. Hakikisha ile majibu umepatiana ni sahihi na ni ya kweli. Pia thibitisha insurance cover imeangalia masilahi yako, na usiwahi sign proposal form ambayo haijaandikwa kitu chochote. Pia ukumbuke kujitolea photocopy yako.
Oh, sasa wacha nianze hiyo process.
By the way, ukisubmit hiyo proposal form, uhakikishe umepatiwa policy document. Uisome na uielewe. Hiyo ndio thibitisho ya kuwa una bima.
Asante sana.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na IRA.
Kupata skiza tune hii Waibrania 13:8, dial *811 *963#.
Yesu Kristo ni yule yule jana, leo na hata milele. Wahibrania 13:8.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya Waibrania 13:8, dial *811 *963#, *811 *963#.
Next on.
If your daughter won't cooperate, then you're being useless. So you do what you have to do, but I want her to have enough nutrition and to get stronger. Is that clear?
If you had told me that you already had a partner, everything about us would have been completely different, Dad.
Believe me, I had tried. Honestly.
Look, Uncle, the sad thing is, well, your